We interrupt your regularly scheduled deprogramming with this important announcement. A great friend of mine, Justin from Good of the Land, will link his channel up top. If you love anything restoration and fabrication, Justin is the man. He's a fellow Texan. He's a good friend of ours. Go check out Good of the Land and subscribe over there. Justin texted me a video, and I was out working in the food forest and taking out some air layers off some trees. And so I'm like, well, I'll just listen to this. And I started listening to it, and I got very upset. So I wanted to share, we want to share this video with y'all. We'll link the video down below in its entirety. You can watch it at your leisure, uninterrupted. I just wanted to cover this. We were just speaking indirectly on this topic on a live stream maybe 2 videos ago, and this is incredibly heartbreaking and sad, and it just kind of shows you the direction that everything's going in. And when you see this kind of tyranny on a local level performed by local law enforcement, it's much more disturbing, it's much more troubling the way they're attacking this man. But let's jump right into the video. Anything you want to cover, Matt, before we get started?
Before we get started, I would love for y'all to go check out our t-shirts and our little shop.
I selected this t-shirt specifically. When people forget God,
Tyrants forge their chains.
Tyrants forge their chains. It's very apropos to everything we're experiencing right now, and it's largely in part of the deconstruction of Western society, postmodernism, et al. And let's get into the video.
Yep.
Right now, we're going to place you under arrest for growing hemp without a license.
A farmer caught in a South Carolina law enforcement division raid.
It looked like they were coming to take down an army of criminals or something. I didn't know that it took that many people or that much equipment and much manpower to come to one farmer and standing in a hemp field.
Charged with growing a crop he had a license to grow.
I think they wanted the photo op of the mowing it down, and they wanted the press release of we destroyed a crop.
They got it. They did it.
Well, they might have bit off more than they can chew.
Now, a lawsuit alleges the state's top law enforcers and prosecutor's office conspired to illegally arrest this farmer and to destroy his crop.
I'm embarrassed that the state did it. We're dealing with constitutional officers. We're dealing with certified law enforcement officers. We're dealing with members of the bar. They knew what his rights were, and it wasn't going to hurt anybody to afford him the opportunity to protect those rights. And instead of doing that, they trampled all over him.
The lawsuit accuses the man leading SLED of helping to hide plans to raid this farm from the judge who signed Trent Pendarvis's arrest warrant.
Jody, I've already told you, I'm not answering any more questions.
Okay.
That's the end of it.
Well, I have an obligation to ask, and you can answer or not, but
Yeah, I don't trust anybody, and the way it was handled, and I would never trust those group of people again.
if you had the chief of SLED, the agricultural commissioner, and the attorney general of South Carolina in this room today, what would you say to them?
They need to resign.
Farmers fighting back tonight, 3 years after SLED agents raided his family farm and destroyed millions of dollars in his hemp crop. The farmers filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against SLED, the South Carolina Attorney General, and the state ag department.
And he alleges the state carried out a conspiracy to arrest him, destroy his crop, and keeping evidence of his innocence from prosecutors. Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Jody Barr with tonight's Seize and Destroy special report.
Daddy been here they've been here since the 1890.
For more than 130 years, Trent Pendarvis's families farmed hundreds of acres of South Carolina's low country.
Been in the same spot.
They've harvested corn, soybeans, cotton, peanuts, and tobacco, nearly anything that grows from dirt and water. In more than 100 years, generations of the Pendarvis family made their living off this land.
I've been doing it all my life, but I've been back full time since like 2000.
In 2019, Pendarvis tried something new. The South Carolina legislature passed the state's Hemp Farming Act that year, and Governor Henry McMaster signed the act into law. Pendarvis applied for a hemp farming license, and in May 2019, the state's Ag Department awarded him a license to grow. But 6 months into the hemp farming program,
I thought that I was going to pull up right here and they were going to get out and walk in the field and look like they did several times before that.
Pendarvis got a call from a state Ag Department inspector telling him a SLED agent wanted to meet him at his hemp field.
I didn't see anybody or pass anybody, so I don't know where everybody was at.
These are the types of scenarios that we need to remember when you hear people talk about regulation and when you talk about licensed officials and all these different things. When you build this beast infrastructure, it never accomplishes what its stated goal is.
Of course.
It always ends up being leveraged and used for some nefarious purpose to harass and collect and harangue. Here you have multi-generational farmers that have farmed every conceivable crop, and they come up with an idea for a regenerative cash crop that is very environmentally friendly. There are all kinds of applications, from medicinal applications to industrial applications for hemp, and many folks in agriculture, in science and industry really think that hemp is like a wonder of nature and a incredible creation of God that can provide almost anything, and we could use it to replace a lot of these plastic-based container stuff that we were talking about. So instead of them wanting to feed us plastic as protein, if they would just allow people to grow hemp.
The other thing is that he totally did it by the books. The thing is that he wasn't like, oh, we're gonna go out there and plant some hemp, boys. Let's go do it. No, he went out, got the permit and everything like that, which is terrible that you have to do that anyway, by the way. But to grow stuff on your own land, you got to go out and stupid.
If it pleases the crowd, might I have more porridge?
So he went out and did all that, and I promise you that was a hassle to go and do all that through the state and everything. And then they're like, hey, come, we want to meet you at your hemp field that you just planted. And then he probably arrives there, if I have to guess, and they're all mowing it all down and chopping it all down. But let's see.
Everybody was at when I first got here.
But Pendarvis was about to see something he didn't see coming.
When I turned around, all I could see was cars and trucks coming down that road right there. Cars and trucks coming from the other way. I'm not too sure that there wasn't some people already back in here somewhere. I got really overwhelmed with them, with as much people coming, and I don't really know where everybody come from.
His suspicions were right. This video an agent shot just before the raid shows Pendarvis driving up to meet the agents. The recording shows multiple law enforcement units lined up in his hemp field, along with State Forestry Commission agents and their equipment.
How you doing? All right. So did you get a copy of the order from Department of Ag saying that they weren't going to approve your field here? Location. Okay. And because of that, this field's not lawfully able to grow. Okay, because it's outside your permit.
A little more than a month before this, Pendarvis called the Ag Department to schedule a final inspection of his hemp crop.
I've talked to him several times before then, so I figured it was just like we talked before. I'd already met him at the field before. They wanted to take tissue samples and everything else. So I thought it was he wanted to take more tissue samples or more samples or something like that. That's what I thought I was meeting him for. I didn't realize that I was going to get raided when I got there.
When Pendarvis filed his application to grow hemp, he originally listed coordinates for another field on his family farm. But an extended drought and days of rain, he says, forced him to plant here.
In the game of farming, necessarily your intentions to plant a certain crop in a certain field don't always work out because you're fighting the weather. So when we got real wet, the field that was intentionally was going to get the hemp planted in, it got real wet and got underwater, so we had to move it to a different location.
Pendarvis says he gave the inspector the updated coordinates and filed an amendment with the Ag Department. But the department denied Pendarvis's amendment and asked SLED to open a criminal investigation.
Why is it always like that? It's always some kind of technicality. Here, the guy gets a permit, he applies for a certain piece of dirt. Because of things out of his control, he needs to use a different piece of dirt. And they were like, well, we gave you the permit for the said piece of dirt, but if thou usest another piece of dirt, thou dost not please the crown. And then who are these tyrannical supposed law enforcement officers? That's being very kind. That just harass and harangue citizens. Here's a farmer that's just trying to grow a product, and they're going to harass, and instead of defending him and protecting him, they're fleecing him and arresting him and collecting and harassing. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. It's just overall terrible. It's disgusting. And these guys, they clock in and clock out, and they collect their paycheck. They're public servants, more like tyrants. They're just these people suck up the payroll, and they get paid to harass law-abiding citizens. There is so much civil unrest and unruly people and drug slinging and like homicides and physical assaults. There's so many things that these officers could actually be serving the general public and protecting the general public and providing in service, but instead they have to have this enormous SWAT team come and plow this guy's field under the guise of enforcing some made up whatever. You know, all this legislation and regulation, it's hundreds of thousands of words, it's hundreds and thousands of pages. You couldn't know all of it if you wanted to.
They made it that way.
They will only weaponize it and turn it against you when it's in their best interest, or they want a photo op, or some local guy's running for re-election and he wants his face on the front page of the local paper, and then they, just stinking destroy this guy just for the sake of some publicity, and they'll tell you how they were all justified. So let's, we're gonna link this video below. Contact all these local jokers, hit them up on all their social medias, blow up their stuff, and let's get behind this guy and support him, and let's see, hopefully he can at least, this is the other massively tragic thing. Okay, so he's going to sue him now, right? And he is very likely going to be awarded however much he's given, right? Which would be great. Well, guess where that comes from? Guess where the money comes from? So the local citizens of South Carolina here have already been funding these baby tyrants in training, right? The next all these jackboot thin blue line stuff, right? They've been funding these baby tyrants that can't stand up to their hierarchy. I'm just following orders. I'm compartmentalized. I'm reporting for duty, sir. Oh, you say punch that guy in the face and cuff him and mow over? Yes, sir. No accountability, no credibility, no integrity. No soulless.
Absolutely.
Like a soulless goon, right? And so they get paid their 9 to 5 and they got their pension, and they may or may not make that much money. It's irrelevant, because what happens is this guy sues him and he's going to win whatever he wins. That comes right out of the public coffers too. We all end up paying for this stuff. We pay their salaries, right? So they can act like jackboots with no type of reciprocity, no type of action. And then when they get penalized, you know where it should come out of? It should come out of the pension fund of these baby tyrant losers. And maybe they would self-adjudicate, right? and actually want to uphold and defend the Constitution and actually want to be a public servant. And another thing that should happen is the rest of legitimate law enforcement, and there are legitimate law enforcement officers that uphold and defend the Constitution, and any legitimate law enforcement officer says see junk like this and they should push it out too, and they say no, this is not acceptable, this is not appropriate, and this is just a gross violation of basic human decency and human rights. And so we wanted to put this out there.
Absolutely.
Watch the whole thing in its entirety down below. We hopefully maybe we'll get to update you on this. Thanks, Justin, for sending me the video.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And hope you all have a blessed day. And
if y'all come across any articles or videos that you would like us to react to, please email us at countrytexasboys@gmail.com. We would appreciate that a lot. So thank y'all so much for watching. We will see y'all later. Bye-bye.
see y'all. Bye.